very difficult for Nigerians to really comprehend all of these. A moment ago this morning, we were talking about how government sometimes or some individuals bamboozle people into believing something. Perhaps maybe we should draw some lines from what Chamberlain asked you a little earlier. Now, we're looking at Sosoliso. We're also talking about well, the Bellevue and the ADC crash. Can we then say by inference, since this law has always been in place, that the government at that point in time, which you were not part of, erred by suspending their license?
Yes, I would say suspending their license at that point in time. Well, it's difficult for me to cascade that decision. Again, I wasn't there. I don't know the facts that led to that decision. And so I can speak for what I have done, and I have all the facts with me. Again, I said we did what we did with a good sense of responsibility.
Well, the way it is now, what if now we're trying to project now into the future and the AIB comes out to indict this particular airline? What would the government be doing at that point?
Government will do the needful, as always. Government will do the right thing, what is right for the airline, and government will follow the due process. The policy in aviation is when an agency or a company or a particular sector is found responsible. There are laws, there are things, and there are consequences for their actions, and government will accordingly sanction either the company or the individual. Will do what is right, that's for sure.
Well, you have told us that government was not under any pressure to lift the ban on the license, but a host of Nigerians believe that Dana should have completed the payment of compensation to the families of victims before being returned or before the ban was lifted on their license.
Frankly, I'm shocked. I'm surprised that all the victim families have not received their compensation, because we've had several meetings and discussions with Nikon Insurance, the Dana Insurance Company, and we were sure that all have received their compensation. And I want to say on earth to those who may not have received that they need to contact NCAA, and NCAA will ensure that they get what is due them. The insurance is there, and sometimes you may have family complications that makes it difficult for disbursement to be done. In that case, you really can't blame the company in question. But what we are doing in NCAA is to set up a team that ensures that when such issue arises, they're able to mediate and make sure that the needful is done. And so the family, I plead with you, please contact NCAA, and I assure you they will do what is right.
Well, at the moment, because we still have people asking that they still don't understand how you can certify the airworthiness of the airline without telling Nigerians the reason for the crash, the reason for the initial suspension in the first instance. What do we know about the AIB investigation report at the moment?
AIB preliminary report was widely published. It is not a secret. And the beauty about the aviation industry is that when you have investigation completed, the report will be on the website. And so anybody and everybody can access this report. You cannot keep it under the table. Again, because there are so many things involved, there are many companies involved, and so you do not just release the reports. You need to have endorsements from different bodies agreeing that the process that the investigation went through was as the policy dictates. Again, aviation investigation has principle. The principle is fairness, and technical facts must be there, and it must be done in line with ICAO standard. And we are following that. Whenever a report or a finding is ready, we will release them, as we have done always. The preliminary report is on the web. Anybody can access it. And when you don't, you can actually contact AIB for details, and they will make it available. It's public report, and public should have access to it.
Does it then mean that the operational audit that was conducted on Dana was a perfect record? Because we heard people who actually say that the pilot in question, it was about his first or second week on the job. What do you know? What can you tell us about this operational audit of the firm which you conducted?
There is no perfect firm. There is no perfect organization, and that was why when we started with institutional reform. The essence of institutional reform is to plug all those holes, starting from NCAA, to make sure that the regulatory authority is properly strengthened, and that we review the acts and the policies. In doing so, all the companies and agencies that they supervise in the process have to be reviewed, and Dana happens to be one of them. Dana is not a perfect company by any means, and no company is perfect, like I said. But when the audit was done, the administrative audit and the operation audit was conducted on Dana and most of the airlines. Dana was not indicted in that regards. Actually, Dana happened to be one of the best we have as at today. That shows you how far we have gone. Now, when you look at Dana's operation in holistic manner, you will find out that Dana's manual, Dana logbooks, Dana administrative policies, they were all in compliance with NCAA laws and regulation. Now, you cannot indict a man that is in compliance. Who conducted it, they were not staffs of NCAA, they were professionals, very seasoned professionals. Remember, we set up a panel of captains and engineers within the sectors. And so, if you go online as well, you can see the processes and the guidelines that they follow through. So in doing so and in coming out with the result, we are satisfied that they did a very thorough investigation, and that gave us comfort to say that Dana can go back to work.
Well, specifically, people would be expecting you to just give them, just even if it's a one-liner in that particular report we call the preliminary report, away from the log, away from the sheets of safety and all of that. Didn't they also look at the remote or immediate cause of that particular disaster?
Yes, they did. The remote cause of the disaster is very technical. I cannot, and I'm not allowed to tell you that this is the cause of the accident. And frankly, I don't know the cause of the accident. I know what is not the cause of the accident, and that is what the administrative report has given us, that it wasn't due to administrative policy, it wasn't due to the company's inefficiency, and it was also not due to NCAA lack of responsibility. But even all said, we are enhancing NCAA, we are strengthening NCAA to ensure that they do what they are supposed to do, and that is to regulate all the operators, to regulate all the agencies, and indeed the sector in general. They will have to. We have to trust that NCAA, given all this help that we are giving them now and strengthening process that we are going through, will be in a much better position to regulate the industry. It's a very highly regulated industry, aviation sector.